Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. On this week's episode, I'm going to talk to you about Bitcoin in social settings. Because I tweeted about it last week, but also I will be at a wedding this weekend. So, yeah, I hopefully not talk about it. I don't know. We'll see. Also, I want to talk to you about the potential movies plus pivot. Not a hard pivot, but just a little bit of a pivot nonetheless. But before we get into that, get yourself a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet. Go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off, and you should get your coins off the exchange. Because if we've learned anything, is that you can't trust anybody to hold your coins. So do that. And also, Movies Plus, it still humbles me how many people have used the promo code, but go to Movies Plus, mymoviesplus.com. Use the promo code Corey, Cory, and you can get an entire year for $24. Can't beat that with a stick. And you can see we released we did add in like a free trial. So you can get like a 3-day free trial, see if you like it. That way you can check out the movie Hoaxed. I think it'd be pertinent for people to watch it. And yeah, to get into it, Bitcoin in social settings. So, have you ever found yourself in this scenario where you're sitting around a campfire with some beers in hand, and Bitcoin comes up? I am actually the one in this scenario that brought it up. And the biggest regret was honestly that we were about to leave. And so then I had to, sit there with my wife looking at me like, are you kidding me? You brought this up right now. We were just about to leave. Which I'm famous for doing, like with her. She loves it. It's a whole thing. She thinks it's awesome that whenever we're trying to leave somewhere, I just start talking to a bunch of people. So anyway, so my friend is talking about, I was with like at a friend's house, but like knew nobody else there, one of those scenarios. And my friend who can't wrap his head around the Bitcoin thing and everything, and he's going off, and it's like almost like he spit out like 4 of the most standard Bitcoin talking points of like, they keep printing money, and prices of things are going up forever, and blah blah blah, and all these things, and CBDC, and the other people were agreeing. And I just said to him, I was like, dude, you're so close, like you're so close to being a Bitcoiner. And then he likes to give me a hard time about it, so he was like, what happens if the electricity's out? And I'm like, then we have a bigger problem. If all the electronics have been destroyed, then yeah, sure, silver and gold and actual goods and services will be the gold, the Bitcoin of that world. But then there was somebody else there who immediately said, oh, I saw the price crashed. They're like, they said something like, did you know? And like my friend was like, oh, he knows what the price was. And I was like, I kind of look, but doesn't really bother me, because it really doesn't. I'm not just saying that. Like at this point, I'm like, just stack sats and whatever, as long as you're not leveraging yourself. You guys know my whole spiel. I've talked about that. By the way, this isn't financial advice, and if you ever take it as financial advice, it's the dumbest thing that anyone has ever done in the history of the world. But I just immediately was like, this was a mistake. Because I was like, I don't care, really. I mean, I must just be like a really, really bad orange pillar at the moment. But it's almost like I think I'm just so firmly in the camp of when Satoshi said, if you don't get it at this point, then I don't have the time to explain it to you or whatever. that's just kind of like where I live at the moment. I'm like, just, for people that know me, I'm like, I'm into it. If you want to talk about it, come on over, and I'll tell you what I know. But the all the claims that it's like, you guys know, if you're into Bitcoin, you've heard every single claim 100 times, and you're just like, I mean, what else is there to say at this point? I'll give you the rebuttal, because the truth of the matter is that, yeah, if all electronics went out, I would be trading and not Bitcoin. Would not be using Bitcoin for goods and services but again, the simple answer to that is that if that happens, we got a much bigger problem. If that happens, then we're in a whole new world at that point. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that if we get too wrapped up in orange pilling, maybe it helps us or makes us lose sight of what we're really in this for, and it's for we're not in this for how many people can be in Bitcoin. I don't know. Maybe some people are though. I don't know. I'm all over the place here. I'm just thinking out loud. Obviously, this is not scripted. None of my podcast is scripted. But I just don't. I don't know. If you're worried about evangelizing, then you might be missing how to help this grow, how to protect it, everything like that. I mean, again, maybe everybody has their lane, but also at the same time, I do, you guys know that I'm Catholic and believe in my faith, but I cannot. It makes me cringe anytime that I see like evangelical Christians just Bible thumping, and I'm like, I guess I'm more of a lead by example type person, so as they would say in the church, they'd say, be Christ like, and that will bring people to Jesus. Well, in this scenario, be a Bitcoiner and be a good Bitcoiner, and that will bring people towards Bitcoin. I mean, if you're a good Bitcoiner, you're in it for it, and if you keep staying in it for a while and the price keeps going up and people around you see that your life keeps getting better, maybe you've been DCAing really well and you're stacking and stacking and stacking, and the price now is whatever it is, $26,000 or something. And then it 10x's from here, and its new floor is in six figures. You're gonna be sitting pretty. Maybe you can retire, or certainly work less. Maybe you'll have a nicer house. Not that we're into material things, but there will be a physical way for them to be able to see that your life is better because you were a Bitcoiner. So that's kind of my angle. So I just immediately, I wanted to do the Homer Simpson fade into the bushes and just shaking my head like, why did I go down this route? Because frankly, they just weren't ready. I think that's the other reason too. I'm like, I think I just wait in the weeds now. Because when you're early on as a Bitcoiner, you just want to like vomit everything you know about Bitcoin to everyone. So that was me circa 3.5 years ago or whatever. That died down for me. Well, it was really hard because I got in and then it went on the bull run. But it was like spring. It was like right before Elon initially, announced that their Tesla was going to stop accepting Bitcoin or whatever back in the spring of 21, where I started to like cool my jets a little bit, like which also coincided with, I think, when I started this podcast in February of 2021. I think as I was interviewing people, I was realizing like, oh, I really don't know shit about this. I got a long way to go. So I definitely started pulling back. And then since then, it's progressively gone that way where I'm like, look, it's good, it's good if you want to sit here and have an honest conversation about it. But if you're not ready for it, then that's you. And we all know the meme of, people buy Bitcoin. If you're wondering what that was, this is what that was. If you're watching the video, it's a Major League Baseball that I have on my desk. We have like 57 of these. I mean, literally. Little side note. I will get back to my point about, everybody gets Bitcoin at the price that they get. But I don't remember when my son got this one. But growing up, I had a knack for getting foul balls at baseball games, Pirate games. As you guys know, I'm a Pittsburgher through and through, and I loved it. And I was really good at it. I just had a knack for knowing where foul balls were going to be coming. If you have a left-handed batter, which way it's going to be going, where's the territory, and then I also could identify if a player was in a position where they'd give you a ball. So I was really good at it. But then, you reach this age of 13 where you're like, there's little kids around. I probably shouldn't be trying to get a baseball or begging for a ball. But I do love them because there's nothing like that feeling. It's a cool feeling. Not getting it. An actual, the feel of the baseball. And so anyways, then fast forward to when I become an adult, and all of a sudden my oldest starts becoming incredible at it at a very young age. So this is whenever he's 2 years old or something. That summer, we went to 11 or 12 Pirate games. And he got a baseball at every single game. Halfway through, I was trying to cool the jets, because I could see the opportunity where I'd be we'd be sitting there, and you see a player walking, and you're like, oh, hey, go over there by the fence. He might toss you the ball. And then, boom, it would happen. And then he, sure enough, after halfway through the season, I told my wife, I said, we can't let him get a ball at every game. He's going to think that's normal. And then he's going to be devastated whenever he doesn't get one for the rest of his life, because most people don't get one. I had 15 or so from growing up. And so I was actively trying to not get him one. And it was just happening over and over again. One time we were sitting right on the grass in foul territory, and the player came over and caught the ball, reaching over the stands right in front of us, and it was the third out, and he tossed it to my son. I was like, oh my god. So anyway, it's a funny story. We go through that whole season, and then at the end of the season, we're up in Toronto for the Toronto International Film Festival, and we would always go to Blue Jays game when we'd go there. So I tell my son, I'm like, look, it's Blue Jays Stadium. I don't know exactly where we'll be sitting. I don't know the layout of the stadium like I know our home stadium. So I don't know if it's going to happen. So just really, I lay the groundwork hard. I'm it's not going to happen. And then sure enough, in the last inning, the players are warming up. Cleveland Guardians. They were the Indians at the time, though, so I can say that. And they they were warming up, and the player overthrew the other player, and it rolled all the way to the wall, right by where we were sitting, and they came over, grabbed it, and just tossed it to him. I was like, well. So, anyways, I think he got 13 baseballs that summer, and he's still got a handful ever since then. So yeah, but I have one on my desk, and that was that noise. Back to people getting Bitcoin at the price they deserve it. I don't think that's like a mean thing to say. I just think it means when they're ready. If they're not ready, they're not ready. So don't push them. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my personal philosophy at the moment, and that's why I severely regretted doing that. But yeah. And if you do talk to them about Bitcoin, you should probably recommend that they get a BitBox02 hardware wallet from bitbox.swiss. Well, not from Bitbox, from Bitbox. It's not from the website, even though they send it to you from the website. So on to my other point about Movies Plus pivot. So the Movies Plus pivot, it's not a hard pivot, but I think, I'm not cut out for politics, but like you guys know, like we stand for free speech, because I do firmly believe in that, obviously. And that kind of, because of that, put us in like a political light. But I actively hate politics. So I didn't want anything to do with politics. I still don't. But I thought, hey, this is the angle we got to go in order to grow this thing, as fast as possible, as big as possible, blah, 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 unaddressed market, like that was my thought. Like, okay, the right wing is getting shut down mainly right now. So obviously that's who we'd be catering to at the moment. And we're gonna have all these right wing personalities helping and everything like that. And like nothing's like not a ton has helped at this point, And then the thing that drives me nuts is that like people on the right just sit there and like scream, like I'm talking like media people, like scream about how they want, a freedom of speech platform that's going to protect their freedom of speech, everything like that. And it's like, well, we've been here this whole time. So then you start to wonder, like, well, are you just like constantly analyzing a problem without ever offering a solution? Is that the plan? It seems like that's the plan. So I don't know. I think that it's very disheartening to realize that is the situation it is. But and so what really kicked this off, I've been feeling this way for a while, and one of the films that came to us was Alex's War, which I strongly recommend you guys watch. It's about Alex Jones. It's really well done. And it's just like a documentary about him. It's not necessarily like pro him, but it just shows his life. And so I thought, like, yeah, like, this is going to be the big thing. And then he wanted to like promote us, which made me like uneasy at first. Like, but then they were going to do it, and I was like, okay, well, he's got a big audience, so like it's not going to hurt sales. And so then like we're going to do a deal with him, and then I found out a couple weeks ago he put everything on hold indefinitely. What I was told is he's really worried about coronavirus, trying to ramp up or whatever. I don't know. And he's like all in on this, stuff. So it was like, okay, there goes that. I don't count my chickens before they're hatched, so it's not like I was sitting there going like, "Hey, we're gonna," like I had already put a down payment on something based on the customers he was gonna bring. But I was like, okay, how are we gonna find these customers? Like, how do we make up for what that growth would have been? Um, and I just really started thinking that it's independent film. There's so many films that are made that have nowhere to go, and we can do all that while still sticking up for free speech, but just not being like politically motivated. Where it's like, hey, Movies Plus is a great streaming platform. FYI, they'll also not censor you, but that's not their whole thing. So that's kind of what we're kicking around at the moment. Because there are so many independent films that do not have a home, have nobody compensating them in any way. We hope to help them in that way. So, I don't know. I mean, I was a little disheartened that whole deal went down. But at the same time, like I told you guys before, I don't know how. It was like almost like kind of like a relief too, because you're like, well, he's like, it's different to deal with, and it certainly casts you in a certain light, and whether fairly or unfairly. But I don't, here's where people that are like super evangelical would say, everything happens for a reason. Like, well, no, it wouldn't. No, it doesn't. Because if everything happened for a reason, that means everything's predetermined. And if everything is predetermined, then we do not have free will. We are just living out somebody else's vision. So yeah, I don't believe that. But I do believe that we are guided in directions, and so maybe like the direction that I'm guided in right now is like, hey, just be like a really cool streaming platform that will play anything, but also make your like maybe it was like your focus really should be on the independent filmmakers and growing that, because the other end of it is it's like, what else is there that like politically out there that we could grab at the moment that would really raise eyebrows? There's no other content. It's just, it is what it is at the moment. So yeah, but it's super frustrating because you look at the right wing media and you're like, I guess, I'm not talking about Alex in this instance, but just in general, where it's like every right wing personality, they're like, we need freedom of speech, blah blah blah, and you just like, and we have these conversations with like, hey, we're here, you want to work with us, and then it always comes out, oh, well, I'm gonna do this or do that, and like nobody wants to like take the leap, or they feel like it's too risky or whatever. And I'm just like, all right, I guess this is more, I don't know. Just being completely honest with you guys. Super frustrating. But I think we'll be all right. I think we're going in the right direction anyways. And like to promote a show you guys should watch, like a nice little show, you guys should watch Abracadabras. We have it as a Movies Plus original. It's like a kitschy, lighthearted, sci-fi, coming of age type story, made by our filmmakers in Canada who did a good job producing this on such a a shoestring budget compared to your typical project. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that, and I'm not trying to be, I hope I don't sound like super doomy and gloomy. But yeah, I just like, I hate politics so much. So the more that I was like trying to rely on people in the political world to help us, the more I hated it. And now I'm like, you know what? I think there's a reason, because maybe we have met all the growth that we'll ever get out of this political movement. These people, like, that's the most you're gonna get, I guess. So, we'll just move our focus. And one thing I'm actually gonna do is do a football show on Movies Plus, and then I'll put it out as like a podcast too. But I have this other guy that do like a weekly. I think we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it the Beer Goggle Quarterback Podcast. So like the Monday morning quarterback, but this will be the Beer Goggle Quarterback podcast. And Sunday nights after Sunday Night Football, we will do. I'm getting that's interesting. A phone call from China. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not going to put it on this feed, so I'll let you guys know when I do it. It'll be completely separate. But we want to have we're trying to beef up more live content on the site, different things like that, and so I think it'll be fun because Big Rob, is who I'll be doing with, and he's really funny. So I hope it goes well. But I figured we're gonna on Sunday nights, as soon as Sunday Night Football ends, we're just gonna go live, and we will have each had a handful of beers through the day while watching football, and then we'll have very very well thought out takes on the day that was. One segment, I think I'm going to call the one segment, I was going to call it like the WTF moment of the day or something, where like, holy crap, what was that? Crazy play. But I just saw the movie. Well, I saw it on TV, but I didn't see it, like, watch it. The movie Rookie of the Year, and I thought of the line whenever the doctor gets hit in the face and he yells, "Funky butt lovin'." So I think we're gonna call it the funky butt lovin' moment of the week. I don't know. We'll see. Should be interesting. Maybe we'll bring on some guests. Already have a couple like NFL pundit type people that would do guest appearances. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I appreciate you guys supporting me and supporting the show and getting a BitBox02 hardware wallet, because honestly, that helps them. You guys buying the hardware wallets actually helps them continue to support this podcast, which, in a small way supports me. And again, I'm just a pleb sitting here trying to wade my way through this bear market. I threw a tweet out there asking for all the things that have gone on in this market, because I want to do a podcast on that where I just kind of list everything. Be like, wow, we've made it through a lot. But nobody really replied. I think I got one reply. So send me a message if you think of anything. But I appreciate all of you guys, and I will talk to you guys later.